not holding back, letting my true colors show. No time to waste, so I've just gotta let go. Ignore what they say, unapologetic with me. Shout it out loud, hey, hey, sing it to the world. Being the authentic me. Sing it to the world. Being authentic, no. This was a family request. Hi friends, my name's Noe and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are new here, I am so glad and so excited that you're joining me. So, you are probably expecting another medical video, which don't worry, I will have another one coming very soon. But I'm sure you noticed that there was a bit of a gap between the last two videos, and that is because I was gone at summer camp without any technology for 3 weeks. And today I'm going to be talking about camp and sharing some of my crazy and fun stories and experiences with you all. Before I get started, I did want to share real quick that for the privacy of myself, the camp, and my fellow cabin mates, I will not be disclosing any personal information or names, but I will be sharing photos, which I did receive permission to share, so you will see those photos here. Alrighty, let's get right into it. So, this was my third year at this camp, and normally it's a 2-week session. However, this year, because of COVID restrictions, they did 3-week sessions and they just limited the capacity. So it was a bit of a smaller camp and it was a week longer, which I actually liked because I got more one-on-one time with counselors and I got to make more friends and meet more people, and it was also nice having an extra week to dive deeper into those camp relationships. One benefit of camp being 3 weeks this year instead of 2 was that with the COVID restrictions, we were able to return to normal camp after the 10th day. So we had half of camp with COVID restrictions and half without, which was really nice, instead of 10 days with restrictions and then 3 days without. So some of the restrictions that we had were that we all had to be tested before we showed up, and we also started out in cohorts. So we were limiting the amount of people that we were coming into contact with, so we were just staying with either our cabin or one other cabin. And because my cabin was so large, we had 14 girls and 3 counselors. It was just our cabin and our cohort. So that meant we were doing all of our activities together, our meals together, everything together. We also normally get to pick our activities throughout the entire session of camp. But this year, for the first half of camp, our activities were assigned to us and we had a schedule. And that was to also limit the contact with COVID. However, the second 10 days, we went back to normal camp and were able to select our own activities, which was a lot of fun. This was first day at camp. This was actually after drop-off, heading down to eat dinner. We were waiting in our cohort's spot, and I remember meeting everyone for the first time. I'm very loud and bubbly, but it did take me a minute to kind of warm up to people, but once I did, we all just clicked instantly. It was amazing. Wow. This is really not a flattering picture, as I am mid-sentence in the picture, but I wanted to show you guys because it's, I think, the first activity that I did at camp, and it was arts and crafts, and we did basket weaving, which was really hard to do, and I got really frustrated at times, but I ended up completing my basket. It's a little lopsided, but I did it and I made it, and that's what makes it special, and that's what makes it great, because even though it was hard, I finished the basket and I made it, and I'm proud of myself. This was my kayaking crew from our first half of the session. So the first 10 days when we had our schedules assigned, this was my kayaking crew. So I'm with all the girls from my cabin and then our 2 awesome instructors. And that was a really fun kayaking group because we all had the same mentality that we didn't really want to play any games. We just kind of wanted to relax on the water and just paddle around and have a good time. And it's really fun when you all have the same mindset and you're not trying to debate or argue for which activity to do. Now this is what I was talking about. This is alligator crossing. If you don't know what that is, it's a game where you have 3 large platforms and 1 small platform and 5 different sized planks, and you have to get from one platform to the other and get everyone across. And if you drop a plank in the water, the alligators eat it and it's gone. We were getting so frustrated with each other, and it ended up turning into a thing where people were saying if you were heavier, you had to stand on the board to support other people's weight, even though the game has nothing to do with weight, and people's feelings were getting hurt, and it just kind of resulted in everyone being mad at each other. I was trying to stay positive and stay out of it, but you know, it eventually catches up to you and you kind of get annoyed if everyone else is annoyed around you. But we ended up having a conversation that night as a cabin and kind of working things out, and we talked about what we could work on, and we also came up with a positivity jar, and that stayed for the rest of camp, and we all wrote positive affirmations or little compliments to each other, and every night when we would debrief, we would pull out a couple compliments and read them, and then you got to keep them, and it's just a way to kind of make each other feel good. Besties moment. This was from our second day of camp, and this was me and my best friend from home who I went to camp with, and we were just sitting on the porch talking when we had some free time. And it was just nice being back at camp, and we were just enjoying being in the moment and looking at all the beautiful scenery in front of us. This is my dinner crew from second night at camp, all throwing up some peace signs. Yeah, this is just what camp is. Just meeting new people and making instant friends that will last a long time, even if you don't ever see these people again. So every day at camp we have organized free, which is where we are given a list of activities that we can choose between, and so we have some free time and we get to choose our activity, but it's organized because we only have certain activities to choose from, and this was one of them. We did Lanyardville, which is where you like make a friendship bracelet or a lanyard, and this was me with all the gals, and we were just sitting in Lanyardville just enjoying ourselves. She was the first person who I became friends with at camp, besides my best friend who I came to camp with. And we just clicked instantly. She had an awesome personality. She was so goofy, and I absolutely love her. And we came up with this little skit when we took theater. And it was Fraulein Belle and Patty Sue, and she played like this French person, and I was just this total southern country gal, and we just did this song and dance, and it was improvised. The entire thing was improv, and it was just so funny, and we were both cracking up, and it was one of my best memories at camp, and one that I will definitely hold on to forever. And I just love her so much for just matching that energy of mine and just going along with it and just making me smile and laugh so much. This was my first theater crew, so it was all girls from my cabin, and this was where we did the Fraulein Belle and Patty Sue skit, and it was during a game of Bus Stop, which, if you don't know what that is, it's an improv game where one normal person is sitting at the bus stop and then some person with a weird quirk or a weird trait comes up and tries to annoy the other person and get them to come up with a creative excuse to leave. So we actually roped one of our directors into the skit with us. They were the normal passenger, and then Fraulein Belle and Patty Sue showed up and did this whole dance and song routine complete with animal impressions and yodeling. And it was an absolute blast and so much fun. And everyone actually did really great at Bus Stop, I will say. I laughed probably one of the most times at camp was during that game of Bus Stop. So here's me rock climbing, and this may not seem like anything to you, but for those of you who know me personally, you know that I have an extreme fear of heights. I am very, very afraid of heights, and I was shaking the first time that I did rock climbing. I put it dead last on my rankings list, but I somehow still ended up with it on my schedule when I was assigned a schedule, and I really didn't want to do it. But I decided to go into it with the mentality that I'm just going to try. I'm going to get hooked up, and if I decide not to go, that's okay. Or if I just decide to sit there and watch, that's okay too. And if I decide to climb, that's awesome. And I decided to take charge of this fear and make my own decision and try not to let that fear overcome me. And so I got tethered up and I went on my first climb, and I only made it about a third of the way up, but that was okay. I was so shaky and I made it back down, and I actually cried happy tears, but it was such a good feeling. And then we went to a little bit of an easier climb called the Scramble, and I actually made it all the way to the top, and I felt so great for having taken that step towards overcoming this fear of mine that has held me back from so many things. And it was such a proud moment for me, and just the support that I received from both the counselors and my cabin mates was just absolutely overwhelming, and I just felt the love, and I'm just so thankful that I was put into rock climbing so that I was forced to try something new, and also that I ended up liking it and taking it a second time, and that I also had the emotional support of all of my friends who helped push me to overcome that fear of mine, or start to overcome that fear. This is a picture from one of our campfires, and we actually got to have a lot of campfires this year because we weren't in a fire ban for the first year that I was at camp, so we were actually able to have real fires, which was amazing. And this is us singing a camp song at the end of a campfire, and I believe in this picture we're singing Sloopy, which is one of our favorites. This was from one of my favorite activities that we did at night. It was a rock show night, so they just played music and we did like karaoke to it, and we just jammed out. We had like a giant mosh pit and it was absolutely amazing. I believe in this song we're belting to Taylor Swift, You Belong With Me. I'm not totally sure. We did a lot of songs, but it was an absolute blast, and everyone just participated and went full out, and nobody was embarrassed, which I enjoyed because I'm surrounded with that a lot, like at school and just in regular life, so it's nice to escape from that and just act like a complete weirdo and goofball and not care what anybody else thinks. This was second time around doing ceramics. I don't know if we have pictures of the first time, so I'm showing this one. This is a picture of me, and we had an assignment to make a little decorative box. So I made a box and I made it kind of jungle themed. So I put some vines on it and some leaves, and then I added some decorative flowers to it, and it actually turned out pretty good. Not too much to say about this. It was kayaking. It was so much fun. It was a little chillier that day, so I do have my raincoat over my lap. Also, when you kayak, you get wet a lot because the splash from the paddles gets on your lap, so rain jacket. I mean, why not? Every Friday we have Fancy Friday. So this is my first Fancy Friday crew. So they put tablecloths on the table, the kitchen makes a nicer dinner, and we all have to dress up in nicer attire. So I already mentioned the Friday night fancy dinner, but what I didn't mention was the activity that we do every Friday night. And that activity is key logs. And key logs is where you go up and you dedicate your key log to someone who did something for you that week. Whether it was just a simple gesture like saying hi to you every time they saw you, or whether they helped you conquer one of your fears, or whether they made you smile. And it's basically like a little appreciation or gratitude for that person. And it's such a meaningful and just moving night and ceremony and activity. And so it's always great getting to listen to everyone else's gratitudes, and you can really just feel the love in the room. So here's a picture of me going up and dedicating my key log to the person who I selected that week. I have my pigtails in this picture. It was fun just being a kid again. You know, I feel like there's a lot of things in my life that I have to think about for my future, and there's a lot of pressure in my life. Mostly for myself, but still pressure. And it was fun to be at camp and just wear my hair in pigtails and wear funny t-shirts and just act like a total goofball and just be a kid again. Normally, counselors do the skits during our campfires, but because we had 3 weeks this year, during our third midweek campfire, the campers got to perform skits. So this was my cabin doing the invisible bench skit, which, if you don't know what that is, it's where more and more people come and sit on the invisible bench until eventually the last person comes on and goes, "What do you mean the invisible bench?" And everyone else is confused, and then they say, "I thought it was removed last week," and then everyone falls to the ground, and it's really funny. Again, me and my darling Fraulein Belle. That's just what I call her now. But this was one of our dance parties, and anyone just got to kind of go up on stage and just do their thing. And this was to Waterloo by ABBA, and we were the only two that knew the song, and we were just jamming out. We were belting it at the top of our lungs and just having so much fun dancing to it. This was engineering, which I was not looking forward to, because I kind of ended up just getting put into it. This wasn't during the first week of camp, but it was when I actually got to choose my activities, but the activity that I wanted was full, so I had to move. But I actually ended up having a lot of fun. We built a capsule named Bob, and basically the capsule was to see if these tiny, fragile clay figurines could survive a drop from a second story. And Bob actually succeeded every time. Nothing broke, and so that was great, and we just goofed around and had so much fun building it. You know that you're having fun at camp when your hair is a mess and you just make a goofy face for the camera. That is what is going on here. And this was at night when we played this tag game that was very complicated, where we had to go get all these colors and counselors were chasing us around, and I ended up feeling sick because I ate way too many helpings of mac and cheese, but it was still a blast and I had fun hanging out with everyone. Oh man, one of my fondest, or maybe not fondest, memories of camp was Cotton Eye Joe. We listened to that song so many times. We had about 4 dance parties at camp if you count the rock show, and we probably heard Cotton Eye Joe about 20 times. It was insane. I showed up to camp not knowing the Cotton Eye Joe dance, and I left camp being an expert at the Cotton Eye Joe dance. So this was I can't exactly remember the name of it, but basically we had to either recreate a scene from a movie or a summary of a movie. And my cabin split into two. One group did Frozen and my group did High School Musical, and I played Sharpay, and it was an absolute blast. And it was so much fun. This is us singing We're All in This Together at the end. We also had a movie night where we watched The Princess Bride, and it was so much fun hearing other people's reactions to it, especially those who hadn't seen the movie before. And at one point during the movie, I don't know if you remember the fire swamp scene or if you've seen the movie before, but there's the scene with the giant rat that comes and attacks Wesley, and when the rat came out, there was this girl in the front who shouted, "That's my sister," and everybody just absolutely lost it. And then days after we watched the movie, everybody kept reciting the lines back, like, "Marriage is what brings us together today," and things like that. And it was just so much fun and so funny. This was another of my favorite nights at camp. We had extended organized free this night, but they did like special activities. So we had spa night, and I showed up and I did like a face mask and I was all relaxed. And then all of these 13-year-old boys showed up and they wanted the full spa treatment. So you can see me in the picture painting toenails, and it was so much fun. It was so funny. They were so relaxed, and the entire time they kept saying like, "Oh my gosh, Noe, that's amazing. Oh, Noe, I love that color. Noe, you're doing such a great job." And it was just cracking me up how much they enjoyed it. And then they kept showing them off to other people. They were like, "Look, I got my toenails painted." This was talent show night. Another one of my favorite nights. I am always really nervous to perform before I go out on stage. But then once I'm on stage, I just get into the zone and I'm there. And it feels like it's just me and the spotlights. And for the talent show, I sang Ironic by Alanis Morissette. If you haven't heard that song, you should listen to it. It's an amazing song. This was my last activity at camp, and it was quite the way to end camp. I definitely went out with a bang. It was stand-up paddleboarding, and it was just so much fun. The group that I did it with was amazing, and we had just a blast. And it was one of the warmest days at camp too, which was nice because I actually got in the water and I swam a little bit, and it was just a relaxing and fun way to close out camp. I have shared a lot, so I'm hoping that you get a glimpse into this camp and why it's so special for me and why I've made a lot of major discoveries there. I mean, you know, camp is where I've found myself and where I've gotten the answer to a lot of things that I was searching for and questions that I had. And so I forever will cherish camp and will appreciate it for giving me the opportunity to find who I am and to be who I am without judgment. And so that's a really special place. So I wanted to close out with this picture because it really delivers the true beauty and meaning of camp. Even though no one's in the picture, it just shows how magical of a place it is and just how it really speaks to me. And I think this picture shows that and shows why it's so meaningful and why I hold it so near and dear to my heart. That is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and for hearing about my camp experience, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly had a lot of fun reliving these memories and looking at these pictures and sharing that with you guys. So this video will hopefully be posted on Friday, and then I'm leaving for vacation. And I'm planning on doing a travel vlog, but don't hold me to that. We'll see. I don't know if I will actually end up filming anything worthwhile to post. But if I do, you'll see a travel vlog. If not, my next medical video will be posted soon. Alrighty. That's it for this video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm and helps me out a lot as well. So I will see you guys next time. Bye, friends. Being authentic, no